Fake HOA calls me suspicious person. I'm an FBI agent protecting this complex. The heat was heavy that August morning, blanketing Oak Grove Estates in a kind of restless silence. It was the kind of suburban neighborhood where people smiled with tight lips and waved from behind garden hedges. But underneath the surface, something darker stirred, an invisible line that told you who belonged and who didn't. I'd moved in 3 weeks earlier. My name's Derek Vaughn. I'm 39, black, and an FBI agent assigned to an undercover operation monitoring a growing cybercrime ring targeting high-end suburban developments. Oak Grove was one of them. My role? Blend in, stay low, and keep watch from within. The agency leased me Unit 7C under a fake name, Marcus Hill. My job wasn't to socialize, it was to observe. I was jogging along Willow Bend Trail that morning in my usual athletic gear. Dark hoodie, FBI-issued tracker, sweatpants. Not flashy, not threatening. Just another guy getting in some miles before starting his remote IT job. But as I rounded the curve by the clubhouse, I spotted her. Arms folded, phone in hand. That posture, that stare. I'd seen it before. Karen. Every neighborhood has one. Oak Grove's was named Beverly. Mid-50s, icy blonde bob. Tennis visor, even though she hadn't played tennis in years. Self-appointed enforcer of what she called neighborhood standards. And the leader of a so-called residence committee that looked, smelled, and acted exactly like a fake HOA. No official documentation, no city sanction, just a loud, unofficial group obsessed with policing other people's lives. She looked me dead in the eyes and muttered just loud enough, "Suspicious male lurking near community center." She wasn't on the phone yet, but she didn't have to be. Her voice, her tone, her stare, they all said one thing. "You don't belong here." I gave her a nod, kept jogging, but in my gut, I knew this wasn't over. 20 minutes later, I was stretching outside my unit when I heard the sirens. 2 local sheriff's deputies rolled up, lights flashing. I already had my badge tucked deep in a drawer, like protocol required, and I couldn't blow my cover unless absolutely necessary. They got out. One hand hovered near his belt. The taller one squinted at me. "Sir, we got a report about a suspicious individual casing the clubhouse. You match the description." I let out a controlled breath. "I live here. Unit 7C. Can we see some ID?" I left it inside," I replied. Technically true, but showing my real ID with a different name would ruin everything. Still, I walked calmly to the door. That's when Beverly showed up again. Her voice sliced through the air like a blade. "That's him! I told you! I've seen him walking around at odd hours, always alone. I don't think he even owns a car." The deputy raised an eyebrow at me. "Sir, we'll need to check inside." I froze. That apartment was outfitted with FBI surveillance equipment, files, and encrypted laptops. Any civilian or local cop stepping inside could compromise months of work. So I did what I never wanted to do. I reached slowly into my waistband, pulled out my badge, and flipped it open. "Derek Vaughn, FBI. I'm here on an operation. Step away from my door." The effect was immediate. The deputies backed off. Beverly's face drained of color like paint running in the rain. "You're FBI?" "Yes," I said coolly. "And now that my cover's blown, I'll be reporting this entire incident, including the false report and harassment." By that evening, it had hit social media. A neighbor shocked by the scene had recorded part of the exchange. The moment I revealed my badge, Beverly's smug expression turning to shock, the sirens, the words "suspicious male," it all exploded on local feeds. FBI agent racially profiled by fake HOA in Oak Grove. Woman accuses undercover agent of lurking, gets exposed, Derek Vaughn, fake HOA, racial profiling in suburbia. The backlash came hard and fast. People flooded the Oak Grove residents' Facebook page, calling for Beverly's resignation from her committee. The sheriff's department issued a statement clarifying I'd done nothing wrong and was on official assignment. But the damage wasn't just to Beverly's pride. Local news camped outside the gates. One headline read, "FBI confirms agent targeted by fake HOA. Probe into unlicensed committees begins." Turns out, that residence committee Beverly led had been intimidating homeowners for months, demanding uniform lawn heights, finding families for non-traditional decor, even threatening eviction over holiday lights. And it wasn't just me they'd harassed. Several immigrant families and younger renters had left the complex entirely. I stayed quiet publicly, but I watched as petitions called for the dissolution of her group, watched as sponsors of the community event pulled out, watched as she issued a shaky, half-hearted apology during a community Zoom. I deeply regret my assumptions. I never meant to, cut off by a voice. You never meant to treat a federal agent like a criminal because he's black? That was another neighbor, Ms. Alvarez, who had two sons in the Marines. She wasn't having it. The next week, the FBI reassigned me to another district, but not before I attended one last town hall. I wore my badge on my belt, this time openly. I wasn't undercover anymore. People clapped when I entered. One elderly man stood up and saluted me. Beverly wasn't there, but her absence said enough. In her place, a younger neighbor, Aisha Singh, had stepped up to propose a legitimate, inclusive neighborhood council, one built on respect, transparency, and unity. She looked at me during her speech and said, "We all saw what happens when fear and prejudice are given a voice. But today, let's give honor and justice a louder one." I didn't expect applause, but I got it anyway. 1 year later, I got a postcard in the mail. Front, a photo of Oak Grove's new community mural, painted by local kids. It showed a strong black man in FBI gear standing tall, protective, watchful, next to people of every background. A line underneath read, "Together, we belong." On the back was a handwritten note. "Thank you for staying calm. You turned pain into purpose. You changed us." A neighbor. I kept that card, not because I needed validation, but because even when justice starts with one moment of fire, change grows slowly, like roots pushing up from under the concrete. And sometimes that's all you need to crack open a whole new future. Side story, one visit, one truth. 6 months had passed. I was working a cybercrime case in DC when I got an unexpected message in my agency inbox. It was from a name I hadn't seen since Oak Grove, Beverly L. Hensley. At first, I didn't plan to open it. I had no interest in more excuses, more polished apologies crafted by some PR coach. But the subject line stopped me. "You saved more than this neighborhood. You saved me." I clicked. "Agent Vaughn, I don't expect forgiveness, but I need to tell you what I didn't have the courage to say back then. For most of my life, I truly believed I was doing the right thing. I thought rules kept order. I thought watching strangers was being vigilant. I thought calling the police was keeping us safe. I didn't realize how much of that came from fear. Fear I never questioned. The day you showed that badge, I felt my entire world tilt. It wasn't just that you were FBI. It was that everything I assumed about you, about people like you, was wrong. And I was forced to face something uglier than I wanted to admit. My own bias. I've been in counseling since that day. I stepped down from the committee, joined a local unity board, and for the first time, started listening instead of lecturing. You didn't just expose a lie in our neighborhood, you cracked one in me. If you're ever near Oak Grove again, I'd like to offer you something simple. A coffee, a conversation, a moment of eye contact, this time as equals. No fake committees, no assumptions, just truth. Beverly Hensley. I didn't respond right away. I reread the message several times. Part of me still carried the sting of that morning, the weight of being judged again for how I looked instead of who I was. But another part of me remembered what it meant to fight for change, real change, the kind that starts not just in courtrooms or protests, but inside someone's heart. So 2 weeks later, I returned to Oak Grove. We sat on a park bench near the clubhouse. Beverly looked different, older, softer, no visor, just a woman holding a coffee cup with both hands, trembling slightly. She didn't try to justify anything. She just said, "I was wrong and I'm trying to be better." We talked for 45 minutes, not about the past, about the kids in the neighborhood, about fear, about how hard it is to unlearn what we were taught, and how much harder, but more important, it is to teach something new. Before I left, she asked quietly, "Do you still think I'm the villain in this story?" I looked at her and said, "You were. But villains don't always stay villains. Sometimes they rewrite themselves." She nodded, tears welled in her eyes. And for the first time, I believed she saw me, not as a threat, not as a symbol, but as a human being. Sometimes the most dangerous walls are the ones we don't see. And sometimes all it takes is one moment, one reveal, to knock them down. Lauren, the end.